Right now, I guess this is all based on your having joined Little Caesar.
Right.
And this guy, I guess, was a bit surprised by this. How exactly did it come about?
They were losing their old guitar player. He quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was available at the time to help the band out with some recording. And it wasn't intended that I was going to stay, but it just worked out, and I did.
Now, Little Caesar is an L.A. band, right?
Yeah, we're based in L.A.
And you were doing session work in L.A. just with other bands and musicians as well, right?
No, at the time, I just finished doing. I was in the process of doing a solo album.
That's In Your Face.
Right. Yeah, I was doing In Your Face at the time that happened. So, I think I postponed In Your Face rehearsals for a couple of weeks, did some stuff with Caesar, then I went in and finished In Your Face, and then I continued with Caesar.
And how did your, formally joining the band work out? I mean, just because they were losing a guitar player, how did they latch on to, the Earl Slick?
Me and Lauren Molinare, the other guitarist, are really good friends. We have been for years. So, he asked me to come down and give him a hand when the other guy left.
And at what point did he say, we want you to stay on, sort of semi-permanently?
You know what? After a couple of months, it just was kind of obvious that it was working. So it was sort of just a mutual thing that I stayed.
Were you there from the beginning of recording, or did you join on?
Yeah, I was there from actually writing and doing some of the demos for the album too.
And obviously, he had been very familiar with your background.
Yeah, like I said, we've been friends for a long time.
But he obviously knew that you were in the process of doing a solo album as well. So.
Right, and actually, because of the way it worked out, Ron Young, the singer from Little Caesar, sang 2 tracks on my solo album.
What did you have in mind for your solo career? I mean, you were just about to release the record. How had you planned on approaching it?
Well, I was with a really small label, so what I had planned on doing was putting the record out and going from there. There was no real plan yet. There wasn't really, but a major plan was just to get the record out. I hadn't any touring plans, which right now, in between some Caesar stuff now, when I have time off, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I guess a solo career is something you can pretty much do in your own time anyway.
Yeah, when it comes to the instrumental stuff, for me, it's something that I'd like to do just for another artistic outlet when Caesar's got downtime.
What do you think was the decisive factor in leading to your joining Caesar? Just because of your friendship?
No, I mean, the guitar playing was working, the songwriting as a team was working, we did live gigs, it worked live, it worked in the studio, it just worked, it's just one of those things. It can't really pinpoint any one factor.
And I guess that at the time of the first album, Little Caesar had received a lot of attention from the industry. Although I think that unfortunately the sales didn't quite justify that in the end. But nonetheless, there is quite a bit of attention.
Right.
And so did that influence your decision as well? Kind of get
for me?
Yeah, well, to kind of get in on something that was maybe potentially commercial.
No. The way I look at commerciality is that if a band is really good, they got an equal chance as the next band does. If it was a matter of going after it for a commercial level, then I never would have done it. Because after what had happened on the first record, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that wasn't the motivation. It wasn't like me thinking that, I would join the band and they were set up to have a hit record, because that wasn't my belief at the time.
This guy asks here in his next question, he figures that a lot of the success of any given band hinges on the vocalist, like his presence and his ability and whatnot.
Right.
How do you rate Ron Young in these terms?
I rate Ron Young on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best. 10.
Mm-hmm. What are his strong points?
The guy just has that magical thing when he gets on that stage. The combination of his voice, his personality, his appearance, you know what I mean? He's just really a great, for real rock and roll singer, and he can deliver. Mm-hmm. And he loves what he does. Mm-hmm. You know, he loves being up on that stage, and it shows.
Were you very familiar with the first album?
Yeah.
And had you heard the whole thing or just the single cuts?
No, I'd heard the whole thing because, like I said, me and Lauren were buddies, and you know, I was hearing everything along the way as it was all happening.
Mm-hmm. And what were your impressions of the first album?
I loved it because when I'd gone over to Europe with Dirty White Boy a couple years ago, the Caesar record had just come out, and I remember talking to the press over there when they were asking me what's happening in the States, and I kept saying, there's this band Little Caesar, and they're, you know, I mean, they're one of my favorite bands right now.
Mm-hmm. There's, let me see, there's something here about, hold on just a second. I was given this list here in Japanese, so you know, bear with me on a couple of points here. They just faxed it to me this morning. It's 12 o'clock noon here right now. Yeah, well, this guy had apparently heard In Your Face, and it seems to him that it was similar somewhat to Little Caesar's first album, and it's sort of a very straight forward approach to a kind of powerful style of rock and roll. So I guess stylistically you had already shared a lot in common with them.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess you could look at it like that.
But
I don't see them sounding similar at all, but maybe the energy is what he's talking about.
He says like the roots would be the same. Maybe the
yeah, absolutely. It's the same roots. It all comes from the same place.
And he says on the first Little Caesar record, it's not exactly a cornucopia of guitar playing. You know, not exactly a guitar player's record necessarily. However, this time around, maybe there was a little more emphasis on making a guitar-oriented record.
You know, I just think it happened like that because when I came in the band, obviously the band changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, you add a new member, things happen. And my guitar style is just a lot more apparent, I think, than the guy that left the band.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think they had expected from you, Earl? What sort of expectations they had upon your joining?
The band?
Yeah.
I think more than anything else, the only thing that was going to be in question was if everybody was going to get along, because as far as the playing and everything went, we all knew that it was the right direction. Mm-hmm. You know, those were given. Those were automatic. You know, I think the main consideration was everybody that we all kind of liked each other and got along.
And once you guys start playing, once the music starts, I guess all the pieces just sort of fall into place.
Yeah.
Is it something you guys talk about a lot, you know, when you're not playing the music?
Nah.
We gotta do this, we gotta do that, and...
Nah. No.
It's all just automatic, huh?
Yeah, it is. I mean, when we're not playing, we're either talking about business of the record company or we're talking about the guy's motorcycles or something. Who knows?
How about in terms of writing the material? How did that work out?
That was good, you know. It seemed to flow real easy.
Mm-hmm. How did you guys write?
Normally, me and Lauren will come up with guitar things, and then Ron finishes the lyrics and the melodies. Mm-hmm. So it's three of us that write everything.
And so everything was like completely written by you guys together. There were no like say ideas, like kind of seeds for songs that you brought with you. It was all just created.
It just all kind of happened on the spot as we went along, you know. No, I didn't actually bring anything with me. I you know, it was all new energy.
So I would imagine that most of the material is very suited for live performance then.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And well, in that sense, I guess you would have to see the band live maybe to fully appreciate it.
This band needs to be seen. There's no two ways about it, you know. Absolutely has to be seen.
But like, are you backing up the record with touring right now?
Yeah, we're going over to Europe in the beginning of August for like a quick week and a half. We might go back again at the end of August, but we don't know about that. I want to go back. I want to go over to Tokyo and start doing a tour over in Japan.
Uh-huh. What sort of stuff have you done in the States so far?
Well, what we've done in the States really is we've done a couple of gigs in San Francisco. We did the Whiskey. We did more kind of showcase kind of gigs. Mm-hmm. We haven't done any real touring yet since the album came out.
Uh-huh. When is that going to be decided, and what sort of criteria are involved in?
Well, we got a track going on the radio now. Slow Ride's the next single, and depending on what happens with Slow Ride, it's just hard getting on tours right now.
Yeah.
The economy's not great, and you got to be doing well because it costs so much money to go out there that you really got to take your best shot at it.
Have you had any offers to open shows or?
Yeah, we got a few offers. We got one from Black Sabbath, and there was a couple. I can't even remember. There was a couple of them that just kind of went by me. I didn't, because I know we weren't ready at the time. But we might do the Black Sabbath dates.
Mm-hmm. So you guys would be willing to open? It's not like you're holding out for.
No, we're not. I don't want to start going out there trying to headline. I mean, we need to play to some big audiences, and we need to do it with a big act.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like the opinion of a seasoned veteran. I guess you're going to sort of use your know-how thus far to.
Well, yeah. Instead of using the brick wall as my guideline, I try to use what's inside the brain. Actually, I've seen the wall a few times before, so I know how to put the brakes on.
What other semi-permanent outfits have you been involved with in the past?
Bands?
Yeah.
Phantom Rocker and Slick.
Uh-huh.
And I had a band called Dirty White Boy that released and we toured over in Europe. But we weren't very successful here, and it just didn't last too long. It was just one of them things. Mm-hmm. We kind of had a run of bad luck with the record company at the time. So.
Yeah. How have you mainly made your living in the?
Hold on a second, please.
Uh-huh.
Hello. Yeah, I'm yelling at my kid.
Oh, okay. How have you mainly made your living over the past several years? What have been the main activities?
Main activities: making records. Touring.
Making records and touring. I mean, backing other people and stuff. I mean, aside from Dirty White Boy and Phantom Rocker and Slick, was it? Aside from those units, what sort of work have you been doing?
That's it.
Oh, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Not like studio stuff or.
No, I haven't done sessions in a long, long time.
And I think a few years back you were doing clinics or appearances and stuff like that.
No.
Oh, you didn't do that?
No.
Okay. A couple of technical questions here. I'm not quite sure if I get this or not, but he's talking about the importance of the guitar riff in the sound of a band, and I guess that a lot of the responsibility is sort of on your shoulders to come up with the tasty riffs to carry the music.
Yeah.
Is that working out, or I guess everything sort of clicks and that just sort of happens? Well,
in a rock and roll band, the style of the guitars is what really sets the pace for the band. Mm-hmm. If me and Lauren were playing a style of guitar, let's say, like what Ozzy's band plays, mm-hmm. it wouldn't work with Ron's voice.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So what the guitars do has to really be, it has to work with the singing. Mm-hmm. It sets the pace for the sound of the band. Mm-hmm. Like with the Stones, and you got the Keith and Woody deal going, mm-hmm. and that sets the pace. It doesn't necessarily mean coming up with riffs. I think it's more of a style to me.
Yeah.
I don't like riff master guitar players. They bore me. Mm-hmm. The fast-playing, fancy guys.
Right.
I missed the point. It's not really rock and roll. I like a sound that sounds like a guy, right. that you can tell.
Mm-hmm. I guess when you work with Lauren, I mean, it all sort of comes together for the first time when the two of you play together.
Yeah.
There's no.
Oh, I love playing with Lauren.
Uh-huh.
I love playing with Lauren. We got a good team going.
How does he differ from, say, like other guys you played with in the past? If you could make specific comparisons.
He's just, God, he just has the rock and roll sensibility. He's great.
And so I guess he's easy to play with.
Yeah, we're just real compatible. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, to me, he's the best guitarist I've ever worked with on the same stage.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel like you have to hold back with this band? Like, you know, kind of cut back on what you're playing in certain parts? Do you have to think about, like, the economy of playing?
I always do.
Uh-huh.
You know, I like to play to suit the song.
Right.
I even did it on a solo record when I didn't have to.
Uh-huh. So you are a little more, maybe a little more choosy than other guitar players, you think?
What do you mean?
A little more choosy about what you play?
Flexible, maybe? I don't know if it's choosy as much as I like to work around the framework of the song. I figure that the song is the priority, and what you do should work with the song. That's my style of playing. I'm not saying that that's the only way to do it, but I'm saying that's how I prefer to do it. So maybe you could call it choosy. I'm just, I don't like just throwing notes into the wind. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to play a note, I want to play it at the right spot so that it works for the tune.
Do you think, I guess what you brought to Little Caesar can be boiled down to just your style? Is that a conclusion we can make? What you brought to the band?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a definite style that Earl Slick does have, and it's definitely in Caesar. It's not heavy in there, but it's in there.
Uh-huh. Are you doing all the solo work?
Yeah.
And are the solos arranged in advance, or do you improvise, or?
No, I like to just go in the studio, play the track down, and I can usually, I already kind of know what I'm going to do before I do it.
So it's sort of in your mind, but it can kind of change on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I have, my solos are attitudes as opposed to worked out notes. I never work them out.
Uh-huh. Attitudes mean they're kind of like a, how would you explain that?
It's not so much of what I'm playing, but how I'm playing it.
Uh-huh. So you just sort of strive for a certain feeling.
It's about the feeling, yeah.
So that's kind of, I guess your standard for the solo there. If you listen to a recording of what you've done and it doesn't have the right feeling, you go back and do it again. Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does that happen often, or do you get it down?
You know, sometimes I just have days when I walk in the studio, plug in, and everything I do is great. And then I have days where I walk in, I plug in, and everything I do sucks. You know, and if I'm having one of them crappy days, I'll just come back the next day and do it again.
Well, what sort of stuff has withstood the test of time, in your opinion, the stuff you've done so far? I mean, over everything you've done.
Oh, God. I think some of that Phantom Rocker and Slick record, the first one we did, was really good.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think a lot of the stuff I've done with Bowie has definitely, I mean, I know that Station to Station has withstood the test of time.
Can you, like, break it down to, like, certain A songs and B solos?
Oh, God. Okay, if we want to go back and really date me, we can go back to the Station to Station record, and there's a song called Stay on that album, which solo-wise and all the way around has definitely withstood the test of time. I still hear it on the radio, and I still got fans coming up to me telling me that's one of the favorite records that they've ever bought.
How about other stuff?
There's a song called Men Without Shame off Phantom Rocker and Slick. Same thing.
Yeah. What were you feeling at the time when you played? Are those solos you went back to, or are those on the spot type things?
No, those were actually the one on the Bowie record might even be close to being a live one. It might be live. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
How about the other one?
The other one was just, I think it was an easy one.
And how about
those are the better ones. The best ones I do are the ones that are easiest.
How about on the this Caesar record this time around? Which ones? Do you
I love the solo in Slow Ride. That's one of my favorite ones on the record. And the one in Johnny, The Ballad of Johnny.
How about which of the songs are you most proud of?
You know, that changes week by week. I get new. You know what I mean? When you hear a record, you get different favorites. This week, my favorite is "Turn My World Around" and "Slow Ride." If you ask me this question next week, it'll be different ones.
At the end of Rum and Coke, I guess you are playing along with Ron's vocals.
Yeah. That you got to hear that live. That sounds great live.
How did that work out? Did you go back over that, or did you work that in advance and just play it together?
No, you know what happened was Ron I had already done my solo, I think, and then Ron had done the vocal and did that scatting thing at the end, and I heard it and I said, man, I got to double that because it's going to work great, and I just sat down and doubled it.
So you went back over it.
Right.
Let's see. He wants you to rate your degree of satisfaction with the entire Influence session here. What score would you give it?
What, based on a 1 to 10?
I guess 1 to 100 to make it easier.
Well, there's no such thing as 100, so I'd give it a 95. The day that I could tell you that I'm 100% satisfied with an album is the day you caught me lying.
Well, then a score of 95 would be about as high as we can go.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Because there's always that little thing that you wish you could have done again, you know?
Right. So I guess you've pretty much answered my next question, which is, I guess you guys pretty much came up with the sound that you had wanted to come up with when they first asked you to join the band.
Yeah, this sounds like the record that we wanted to make.
He wants to know about the hardware. What guitars you used.
I'm using a Fender Strat Plus.
What year?
It's like a 90 or an 89 with DiMarzio pickups.
Okay. He wants to know if you're using the pawl you hold on the cover of In Your Face.
On the Caesar record, I didn't use that.
But you're using that on the solo record, huh?
Yeah.
Just that guitar on the solo record, or do you also use the Strat on the solo as well?
I use a Strat a lot too.
How do you divide between the two? What's
It just depends what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? I plug them in, and if they do it, they do it. If they don't, I pick up another one.
And I guess on the strap of the pawl there, it says in Japanese "Slick."
It does.
How did you get that?
I got that when I was over there, I think in 1983. Not the strap, but I got the letters when I was there to make "Slick." Because it says Suriko is what it says. Suriko.
Did you put that on yourself?
No, I had a friend of mine paint it, but I do have a tattoo of that on my right arm, right near my wrist.
What were you doing in Japan, '83?
Bowie.
Oh, I see. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So those are your two main guitars, or two only guitars then?
No, and I'm using custom-made PVs that are really good, that I just got about 2 months ago, and I love them. I got them after the record was finished.
And are those just for live, or have you used them in the studio?
I've been recording with them. They sound great, but they're going to be... I use them all the time live now. Matter of fact, I use them most of the time.
When you go out on the road, which guitars do you take?
I take the PVs and the Fenders.
You leave the pawl at home?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't want anything to happen to it.
Oh, I see. Okay. How about your amps?
PV, VTM 100.
Any other specs you can...
What do you mean? That's the model number. They're like 120 watts with two 4x12s.
Alright. How about the effects?
I use cheapy little floor things, man. I use like Roland effects.
Just run-of-the-mill...
I use a digital delay and a fuzz box, and I don't like rack-mounted stuff because it sounds fake.
How about in the studio?
And the same thing. I use a lot of those little things in the studio. The only thing in the studio is I'll use the echo in the studio, but everything else I use a wah-wah a lot because I love the wah-wah pedal.
Okay, I guess that covers the hardware thing then. Okay, so you don't know whether or not you're going to be able to hit Japan, I guess, until we see how the chart action is, or
Well, the chart action here won't have anything to do with Japan. I'm not sure what it's going to take to get us to Japan, because, I mean, I would love to go over there, I'd love to go there this year. I have no idea myself how popular the band is over there.
Okay.
I guess it really depends on what the demand at this point in time is for the band.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is a demand for Little Caesar in Japan.
Now, you said a moment ago you guys had Europe on tap. What exactly does that involve?
Excuse me?
What exactly is involved in the European tour?
What we're doing is we're doing a real quick tour. We're going to go over, play the Marquee in London. Then there's a festival outside of London with 35,000 people. Then there's another festival over in Gothenburg, Sweden. That's about 50,000 people. And then possibly a couple of German dates after that. And that's all we got for now.
When exactly will the schedule sort of take shape then?
We leave for London on the 2nd of August.
And that'll go on for, what, a month or so? Or?
No, right now, it's only going to be for a couple of weeks, but we may come home and then go back again.
I see, but you won't know whether or not you're coming out here for, I guess, at least another 2-3 months then, huh?
Probably not, but I tell you, I mean, I'd love to come out. Like I said, I need to do some investigating myself and find out just how popular Caesar is over there, because I don't have any idea.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's been that great a stir as of yet. I mean,
Right.
I had been exposed to most of the hype through American magazines and through, like, industry publications and whatnot, because there was kind of a big stir over it when the first record came out. And I really don't know what they have in mind for this one.
Right.
It's hard to say at this point.
Yeah. How was the Slick record received over there?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have. I'm not directly involved with this magazine. This magazine is called Young Guitar.
Right.
They could probably tell you that, they would be able to give you a little better information on that.
Yeah, I should maybe have somebody call them up from the office over at Geffen next week and get a handle on that too.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're more in touch with the guitar record scene.
Right. Yeah, because I wouldn't mind even coming over and just doing a couple of Slick dates for 2 weeks. You know.
Yeah, well, sometimes the manufacturers of like effects and stuff, or amps, or even guitars will have guys come out here.
Right.
And do little showcases.
Yeah.
Those happen about 2-3 times a year.
Right.
And those are pretty good for exposure.
They sound great.
So I don't know. I mean, that's something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, my man. Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you very much for calling, and I guess there's no sense sending a copy to anybody, right?
Well, if you want 1 cent on, I can tell the people of the magazine to do that for you.
Yeah, you know what? Tell them to send them. Is it going to be a picture?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, then have them send a copy over to the Geffen office, and they'll make sure we get it.
Okay, send to Geffen.
Yeah.
All righty, well, that can be arranged. All right, well, I thank you for your time then.
Hey man, thanks a lot.
Like I say, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay then.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.